Today I get the privilege of reading from the book of Isaiah, chapter 53. So if you want to turn to that and read along with me, we can come into his presence as Andrew Blank welcomed us. Who has believed our report, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of dry ground. He has no form or comeliness, and when we see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we did not esteem him. Surely he has borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we esteemed him stricken, smitten by God and afflicted. But he was wounded for our transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement for our peace was upon him, and by his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned, every one to his own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He was led as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before its shearer is silent, so he opened not his mouth. He was taken from prison and from judgment, and who will declare his generation? For he was cut off from the land of the living. For the transgressions of my people he was stricken. And they made his grave with the wicked, but with the rich at his death, because he had done no violence, nor was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased the Lord to bruise him. He has put him to grief. When you make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of the Lord shall prosper in his hands. He shall see the labour of his soul and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant shall justify many, for he shall bear their iniquities. Therefore I will divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he poured out his soul unto death. And he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
Oh, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been here. And I actually really missed you guys. I went away to Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago. Last week I went away camping. It was absolutely beautiful. And I was pondering what I'm going to teach today. There's a lot of things going through my head. I've prepared numerous studies and sermons. But today is going to be quite a personal one. And you know how I roll here when I go up the front? I ask random people questions. So you can keep your eyes and ears open, because the moment you look away is when I'm going to ask you the questions. It's really, really important that you understand that. That's my number one rule. Anyone that looks away, looks a bit shy, the spotlight's going to be on you, okay? And I was thinking, the way I actually came to the conclusion of actually teaching this particular sermon today or topic on triggers. What's the trigger? What actually gets under your skin? What's the thorn in your side? Actually was the inspiration of my 4-year-old nephew eating next to me. Now, for whatever reason, I cannot tell you how much it irritates me when people chew with their mouth open. I cannot tell you. And I don't know why, but mate, this kid is this big, and it sounded like he had a homophone in his mouth. He had 3 marshmallows in his mouth, about the size of one, but mate, it irritated me. And I just envisioned my hand becoming like a claw, just picking him up by his head to move him over to the next seat. And in all seriousness, mate, I'm telling you, like, there's some really stupid things now looking back in our own personal lives that really trigger us. They're triggers. And it's not something that you cognitively think before your reaction, it's actually merely a reaction. And I used this example a couple of weeks ago with one of the most famous boxers in history. His name is Manny Pacquiao. And he fought a brilliant fighter called Juan Manuel Marquez. Now, Marquez trained the same punch so many times that in the actual fight that ended up knocking out his opponent, he didn't even think it was merely a reaction. So how do we, brothers and sisters, come to these definitive conclusions? Just when we hear something that triggers us, bang. There's an instant reaction every time. And you don't even think about it anymore. It could be something that your partner does, and it just gets under your skin, something that your child does, and it gets under something your parent does, and it gets under your skin, and you just turn away, you're like, mate, this is really irritating me. And I'm telling you, like, even when he's speaking, you just feel something rile up in you in the past, but now it's obviously suppressing that noise, isn't it? The bottom line is that no one triggers you. You actually trigger yourself. When you start to realize nothing is being done to you, you're the one doing it all. That is when you start to liberate yourself. This is where healing begins. The irritable noises, like the kid's just eating, he knows no difference. He sounds like a camel from Saudi Arabia. But it's all right, mate. Let him eat. He's enjoying a marshmallow. You know what I'm saying? Why does that trigger me still, these little noises? I don't understand. Anyone on the outside who is a trigger is only a trigger you're using to exercise the reaction that you've been training up for so long, over and over. Like Manuel Marquez, training that one punch, you're doing the same thing. It's no different. So then, when the punch comes, your reaction, boom. When the traffic comes, it's bang. When someone doesn't listen, it's just continuous. And what you start to develop, brothers and sisters, are these unrighteous patterns. Because, let me tell you something. That same measure that you're using judgment against that person, or the person cutting you off, the same measure will be brought back to you. And just remember one thing, we're going to go through this later on in my sermon, that your words actually have power. They have power. We're going to go through the Aaronic blessing as well, because I guarantee you none of you guys really know what the following verse is after that, do you? We can all speak it, we will pray that blessing over people, but look what God says. I see these people and I say to myself, or I do this with my body because that's how it really happens. There's no one to blame. As someone else can go by and have the same experience like I just mentioned to you before. So how is it that we have a person in this room that can somehow, some way, just tolerate incompetence, can tolerate noise, can tolerate mumbo jumbo and go home in peace? How is it that they're able to do that? It's because they've retrained their patterns. They're starting to walk in the power of Christ, not the power of the enemy. Because if you give the enemy power, I guarantee you will stumble every single time. So you're doing it, brothers and sisters. Remember, you're the trigger. But you somehow forgot the one in charge here. And who's in charge? And then you become enslaved to a pattern. That's even worse. And it's when you don't even realize that you're doing wrong now, and it becomes so reactive that it becomes who you are. Very dangerous place to be. The only question is, do you use stress or do you let stress use you? What I mean by that is stress innately in your mind and in your heart. Are you allowing those thoughts to manifest and fester? Are you building yourself up to scope the room, to see who's listening, to see who's on their phone, to see who's sleeping, while there's someone up here talking? 1 hour. I'm telling you, it used to irritate me. But now, I would rather than be nowhere else than here. Even if they fall asleep. One time I preached about 2 months ago, and I saw an individual close their eyes, and I anticipated it was going to happen, and I reckon I elevated up to 6'3". Somehow I stretched taller. I was ropeable. But I'm just like, now I don't care, man. Close your eyes. Have a rest. When you wake up, we'll talk about our weeks. We'll enjoy a beautiful meal. And you know what? We're here to celebrate the day of the Lord regardless. I don't care what you do. Don't walk in unrighteousness, though. Please don't misconstrue my words. Or do you de-stress and move forward and sue it as rocket fuel to make your life greater? This is one thing I want you guys to understand today, right? I've written these words. When you compare yourself to other people and think, how does Joyce just remain so calm? How does Anthony remain so sweet? You know, when they're just around people, right? I'm just giving them an example. I'm not putting them up on a pedestal, all right, because there's numerous people that have the same traits as them. But they never say this. They never compare themselves to other people and say to themselves, I should be where they are. Because what you're basically saying is, brothers and sisters, God has made a mistake with putting you in a position in your life. God doesn't make mistakes. He actually put you there for a purpose and for a damn reason. So buckle up and get ready for the ride, because it's okay. Yeah, just like a roller coaster. It will go up, it'll go slowly, but when it dips hard. At the end of the day, Christ is your restraint. Christ is that belt cover over you to protect you from falling left or right outside a roller coaster. It's okay. Be comfortable being uncomfortable sometimes. It's actually okay. Jason, can you open up to Titus chapter 2, verse 13? John, Philemon, chapter 1, verse 16.
Looking for the blessed hope and glorious appearing of our great God and Saviour, Jesus Christ, who gave himself for us that he might redeem us from every lawless deed and purify for himself his own special people, zealous for his works.
Read that first part of that passage again.
I'll read 11 as well. For the grace of God that brings salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in the present age, looking for the blessed hope.
Stop. Looking for the blessed what?
Hope.
Blessed hope. Blessed hope. There are multiple attributes to God himself. He's our Redeemer. He's our Justifier. He's the God of love. He's the God of light. God of hope. God of wisdom. God of knowledge. God of strength. You have actually no excuse to remain in a position where you feel alone. There is zero excuse. And I said this the other night on Thursday night to the boys. I went around the table, right? And in particular got to John and Albert. And I asked them what their gift is. And they basically agreed that they are very similar in nature, and they've got a gift of listening or counselling, one-on-one to people, right? You'd say Jason's got the gift of teaching, Mark has the gift of teaching. Also, you had someone else say that they are an encourager, one that they feel, Andrew, big, tall Lebanese dude, yeah, the eunuch. He said he's more an encourager, and people come to him when they're feeling down, and they just feel uplifted. It's like, man, this guy's got something about him that when I stop talking to him, he really just means well. That's a beautiful gift. Beautiful gift in the church. You see, the problem is, brothers and sisters, we're so hyper-zealous on this ladder to heaven that when we're crawling up this ladder and we see someone beneath us, we kind of step on their hand just to go that little bit higher. Let me tell you something. There's nothing new under the sun. So anything I'm telling you has been said before. There's no new discovery. And if there is a new discovery, I'd like you to share it with me later on in the scriptures. That's never been mentioned throughout the course of history. Never been documented, and you won't find it anywhere. In other words, what I'm telling you, they're the words of Christ. It's that simple. So Philemon, who's Christ in Philemon?
No longer as a slave, but more than a slave, a beloved brother, especially to me, but how much more to you, both in the flesh and in the Lord.
A beloved brother. Do you actually look around this room and realize that, put aside the attire that you've chosen today, the Yamaha top, the red top, the black jacket, we're actually going to be, if we are collectively a body and we are one church, this is a snippet as to what it's going to look like in heaven. And you're not going to get an opportunity to turn to a brother or sister and tell them that they're an idiot. You're not going to, mate. So if you are supposed to be a little light here on earth, you make sure that you remember your position. If you're going to be critically thinking all the time and looking around to see, to be the justifier, well, Christ says, no problem, take that position and see what happens. No, I will allow you to judge. Please, sit back. I'm taking a position here. Go do your thing. Come back to me and repent. And you will feel the weight of that judgment that you put forth towards someone else upon your own shoulders. And it doesn't happen instantly. It can happen a day, a week, a year later. And you see it. You see it with people all the time. Curses come not straight away. The storm doesn't hit straight away. The storm comes in 3 months' time. And then I wonder why they're in the best position of their life, but they have no peace. They're in a financial position that is just so great, but they've still got so much pain. Who wants to yell out the Aaronic blessing? Put your hand up apart from Jason. Okay, go for it. May the Lord
bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace, shalom, in the name of Yeshua. But
what happens after it? What does he say after that?
Something about children.
What does he say?
Obedience. I can't remember.
Then God says, Silvana, when you do this, you will put my name on them and I will bless them. We're not just saying nice words after church, brothers and sisters. Jason and myself aren't just blessing the food. No. We're putting God's name and authority over you guys. And when you walk in that name and in that authority, no weapon that stands against you will ever prosper. We're actually placing heaven's authority over someone's life. You can speak this over your spouse, over your kids, over your business, whatever. You speak those words, and what will God do? He said, I will put my name on it. I will put my name on it. I will bless that. Here's what makes this so incredibly powerful. You don't need to feel anything to work. In that passage, in Numbers 6:4, in that passage in Numbers 6, when God is instructing the Aaronic blessing, and they say that blessing, he doesn't turn around to Aaron and his sons and says, listen, before you do this, I need you to feel super happy. I need you to feel joy. I need you to feel on top of the world. And when you're feeling good, that's when you speak it. Mate, God doesn't worry about the feeling in that moment in the blessing. That person could be walking in pain and he will still work through that person. This is a God that we follow. He's not confined by your emotion and your feel. He stands by his word. And when you read it, when you see these words, what does it mean to you? Do you still get that beautiful feeling when you read Isaiah chapter 53 about the suffering servant? Do you still feel the weight of that? Or are you just hearing words? There's two things that drive a person's life. Their meaning and their emotion towards it typically. And I went through this a couple of weeks ago. What does this mean to you? What does this mean to you? Is the emotion still when you come here excitement? Is the emotion to you the moment that church is about to start? You're like, mate, I actually can't wait to hear this message. Or you just feel in the seat and taking up my oxygen. You know what I'm saying, man? Meaning and emotion. Is it still meaningful to you that you see your mother and father? Is it still meaningful to you that you actually hold the hand of your spouse and enjoy that moment? Is it still meaningful to you to see your brother and sister? Because the moment you take away the joy component, that feeling of gratification, feeling of happiness, when we stand up collectively to worship and that becomes dull, guess what? The meaning no longer means anything anymore. You've forgotten the foundation as to why you're here in the first place. Did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego ever pray for the fire to be taken away when they were thrown in there? No. No. Did David ever pray for Goliath to be taken from him? Okay. How about Job? Abraham? If I go through a study of Abraham, just 10 things what that bloke faced, including his own wife's reaction to actually being a mother in her age, this bloke went through so much. But Abraham's right at the front of the Bible. We kind of forget about that story now. That doesn't really mean anything to us anymore. Not to mention Moses. Mate, we're leading out a church of 40 people, 30 people some weeks. This bloke had nearly 2 million people. And you wonder why he struck the rock. He probably lost his mind some nights. You know how you toss and turn at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't get something on your head? This bloke was so sleep deprived, I reckon he looked 120 at 80. But let me tell you something. What does it say in the scriptures that he wrote about himself, which I find quite humorous? He said there's no one as humble as him. He still knew his role. I tell you what he never forgot. The meaning as to why he led these people out. He knew the mighty God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. In the midst of lack, in the midst of pain, somehow, some way, Josie, God begins to show up. And God begins to bring glory to the situation. It's almost as if they said, God, don't take it away. Teach me something in the midst of it. How many of us, when something comes our way, we're like, God, please just remove this, take it away, Lord, take it away, Lord, take it away, Lord. Lord, teach me in this position how I am ought to walk, how I am ought to speak. Because my situation to you, Lord, I know I matter. But you put it here for a reason. It's okay. Filippo, who would you say, and I know the answer what it's going to be because it came up on Thursday night, the first person that comes to mind when you think of physical strength. Right, already we know the name starts with S. Who's physically the most strongest person in the Bible? It's in the book of opinions, mate.
Yeah, Samson.
Samson? Hands up if you think Samson's it.